Okay, so this program is all about the unit circle. So first we should probably figure out what a unit circle is, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with it. So the definition of a unit circle is just a circle with a radius of 1 unit. And the reason that we like to have the radius be 1 unit is because it makes some of the math calculations a little bit easier and a little more straightforward when we're figuring things out. For example, you already know that the circumference of a circle, you figure that out with multiplying 2 times pi times the radius. So if the radius is 1, when you do that math, 2 times pi times the radius, you multiply 2 times pi, and then you multiply it times 1, which doesn't change anything. And there are other examples about having the radius be 1 unit that makes other calculations easier and just makes things a little bit easier to understand. So that's why we like to have a circle with a radius of 1 unit. Now, usually when we're talking about the unit circle, not only do we have a radius of 1 unit, but what we do is we put that circle on the coordinate plane with the center. Let me get my axes drawn here. With the center of the circle at 0, 0 on the coordinate plane. So these purple lines that I've drawn, if you think of this one right here, this is our y-axis and this is our x-axis. That would put the center of our circle at 0, 0. So we're going to use this idea that the middle of the circle is at 0, 0 to fill in some of this other important information. So let's get rid of that stuff. So one more dot. So the purpose of the unit circle is to take all of this information and organize it to make it puts it at your fingertips. There's just all of this stuff that you can figure out very quickly and very easily using the unit circle. So that's why we learn about it and why we want to be able to fill it in a short amount of time. The unit circle turns out to be a really good tool for working problems in trigonometry. So that's why it's a really helpful tool. That's its good side. That's the good things about it. Unfortunately, there are a couple downfalls with the unit circle that I want to warn you about before you get started so you don't get caught in any of the little traps. One trap of the unit circle is to just use rote memorization for all of this information. And the problem with just memorizing it is that then if you don't really understand where the numbers come from, if you don't understand how to calculate these things, and you just memorize where they go, then all you can do is fill in a unit circle. You can't do anything with it. So as we go through it, there's certainly some things that you're going to memorize, but while you're working on this, make sure you understand where the stuff comes from so that when you have problems in trigonometry, you don't have to fill in a whole unit circle just to answer, one problem. So don't get caught in that. The other trap that people fall in with the unit circle, and let me bring up our let's see, we want this one. Our good friends at Desmos here. I've drawn a sine wave. This is just the way for the sine of x. And maybe I can scoot it over a little bit. You see that sine waves keep going. And the circle is good too because you can go around and around and around the circle. But keep in mind that these things go on and on and on. So one of the traps with the unit circle, if we can go back to that for a second. One of the traps of the unit circle is people go around the unit circle one time and they kind of forget that you can keep going around it more than once. Well, one of the things that we're going to talk about here is sine. And like you saw on that sine wave, it keeps going. So keep in mind that you can make multiple trips around the unit circle. So to make all of this happen, this program has 7 parts to it. This is the first part. This is the introduction. And then the next one is we're going to go into some fractions. And then we're going to just go over the degrees. That's easy. That'll go pretty fast. And then we talk about radians. And then we figure out how to find these points here, the coordinates of all of these little points along the unit circle. And then we put it together with the trigonometric ratios, the sine, cosine, tangent, and that sort of thing. So that's where we're headed with all this. For today in your notebook, let's come back over. The first thing in your notebook is this little crossword puzzle. Super simple. If you paid any attention at all to this video, you'll be able to do this very quickly. And then the other thing, let me find it. The other page in your workbook for today are these hopefully comically easy division problems. And the reason that I put those in here is because the next thing up, we're going to be talking about fractions, specifically reducing fractions. And so I just wanted to give you a chance to dust off the part of your brain that does division, so that when we go to reduce the fractions, it won't be so painful. So these couple of worksheets should just take you a couple of minutes. And then next time we'll get into the fractions that are needed for the unit circle.